In 1990, veteran music manager Jerry Heller remarked that his client's company, Ruthless Records, could actually be to the 1990s what Berry Gordy's Motown was to the 1960s. He wasn't wrong. Heller's client, Eazy-E, was one of a kind. Before Master P, before Puff Daddy, before Jay-Z, there was Eric Eazy-E Wright. From the crack-slanging corners of Compton, Eazy, thanks to the guidance of Heller, became an anomaly in hip-hop. A black man with his own record company. Granted, he wasn't the only one. Jay Prince was steadily building his own record empire, Rap-A-Lot, in Houston around the same time. But Eazy beat him to it in mainstream success. Plus, was Jay Prince a best-selling rap star in his own right? Yeah, didn't think so. In the beginning, Ruthless Records mainly operated from Eazy-E's parents' garage. But with the success of JJ Fad, technically the company's first signees, Ruthless was able to move to a strip mall in the San Fernando Valley suburb of Canoga Park, an hour away from Compton, in 1988. More hit albums and singles followed, not only from Eazy-E's group, N.W.A, but also from the DOC, Michel'le, and Eazy-E himself. By 1990, Ruthless was operating from a custom-designed suite in an office park in Woodland Hills, a more desirable area of the valley. By the next year, Eazy was living in the same gated Calabasas community as Heller. They were an unlikely couple, Eazy and Heller. The former, a seemingly reformed black American dope dealer from Compton. The latter, a white Jewish music manager originally from Cleveland. Eazy-E, hearing of Heller's expertise as a music manager working with a vast array of artists in the 60s and 70s, had sought him out and wooed him over to the Ruthless camp in 1987. And so far, it was paying off. Literally. They not only lived in the same affluent community, but they even had matching BMW vehicles with license plates using the same nomenclature. RTHLSS1 for Eazy, RTHLSS2 for Heller, denoting their respective ranks in the Ruthless Records kingdom. It was a bond that made some people uneasy, characterized by accusations of financial impropriety. Arabian Prince, the forgotten member of N.W.A, left in 1988. Ice Cube, the group's main lyrical driving force and social-political conscience, as well as one of Eazy-E's songwriters, left in 1989. But the most devastating blow came in 1991. Leaving the company were Dr. Dre, N.W.A, and Ruthless's main production driving force, Dre's protege, the DOC, another songwriter for Eazy, and who had a gold-certified debut album with No One Can Do It Better, and Dre's girlfriend and baby mama, Michel'le, who had scored a gold-certified self-titled debut album and a top 10 hit for the company. And their departures were under circumstances that would have the Ruthless Records boss go to court to at least win a considerable amount of compensation for his losses. And when he did. But with N.W.A, the best performers on Ruthless, done, and Dre now off to being the creative centerpiece of an upstart competing company named Death Row Records, Eazy-E must have shuddered at the prospects of his decimated roster. MC Ren was the only remaining N.W.A rhymer, and the success of his debut EP showed promise. The rest of the roster didn't seem as hopeful though. JJ Fad had launched Ruthless with their hit single Supersonic and accompanying gold-certified album, but a follow-up that tanked forever doomed them as one-hit wonders. Above the Law was a more than competent gangsta rap group from Pomona, but 2 records in was enough to determine that they would never be on the commercial level of their Compton counterparts. Albums from social-politically minded Yoma Malky, white female rapper Terry B, multi-instrumentalist Jimmy Z, and the pimp-minded Penthouse Players clique failed to register. Other acts like GWB, Gangsta Bitch Mentality, and Jewel languished in record company purgatory, with the latter finally decamping to where else? That other company. Despite the lessened firepower, Ruthless Records, especially on account of its earlier output, was still raking in millions of dollars each month. Plus, an opportunity presented itself for Eazy-E to continue to expand his brand into less familiar territories. It turned out that generosity to various charities in and around Los Angeles triggered an invitation in February 1991 from Texas Senator Phil Gramm to join an exclusive fundraising group of campaign contributors that included bodybuilder come blockbuster actor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Stick around.
The group was referred to as the Republican Senatorial Inner Circle. A follow-up letter, which included the cost of 2 tickets to attend a Republican luncheon named Salutes to the Commander-in-Chief, came from Bob Dole, then Senate Minority Leader, and later presidential aspirant. 1,400 Republican members of the inner circle were going to be at the Omni Shoreham Hotel in northwest Washington, D.C. to hear President George H.W. Bush speak. The event was scheduled for March 18, 1991, 2 months before N.W.A.'s Niggas for Life album was bound to drop. Any promotion was good promotion because N.W.A. was certainly no MC Hammer. So Eazy-E bought the tickets, both for him and Heller, and showed up at the Reagan National Airport to eager fans and an incredulous press. Being able to pass the Secret Service security clearance necessary to attend the event, despite his past as a drug dealer, was shocking enough. Feasting on salmon and roast beef with a group of right-wingers and Republicans as part of a demographic that overwhelmingly voted liberal and Democrat might have been amusingly opportunistic to Eazy-E. It was $1 million worth of publicity for a person who didn't even vote, as he would later put it. But that was a serious dent to his rebel image. Since when did an anti-establishment figure cavort with members of the establishment? The irony, of course, is that Eazy, with all his wealth, might have had a bit more in common with the Republicans than people wanted to admit. But that didn't stop some people, particularly among Black Americans and hip-hop fans, from criticizing him for that move. Most memorable of all, former N.W.A. member Ice Cube, who used the event as fodder for his landmark diss song, No Vaseline. I never have dinner with the president. That was the first of several reputational hits that Eazy-E would have to endure moving forward. But in the meantime, he had a follow-up album to complete. Eazy-E's debut album, 1988's EAZY-DUZ-IT, was on the way to be certified double platinum. Eazy was a solo star in his own right, and with the success of his debut, he commenced work on Temporary Insanity, complete with promotion alongside N.W.A.'s 100 Miles of Running EP in 1990. In photo shoots and TV show appearances, he wore a straitjacket, as well as a hockey mask reminiscent of Jason Voorhees of the slasher horror movie series Friday the 13th. Sometimes, in place of a hockey mask, was duct tape over his mouth, or a pair of sunglasses with a lens missing. The street general had always had a sense of humor, but there was nothing to laugh about his camp being decimated with the departure of Dre and the DOC the following year. So now, Eazy had to reassess and replenish his songwriter and production resources. For a project that was shaping up to be a double album, it was a task that compelled him to choose an alternative path. Postpone Temporary Insanity and put out an EP entitled 5150 Home for the Sick. It was straight out of the 100 Miles of Running playbook. The EP is similarly named with the album, directly inspired by the section of California's Welfare and Institutions Code dealing with involuntary confinement and psychiatric evaluation of mental patients. It will serve as a marketing tool for the upcoming album, which was slated for release on May 11, 1993.
Let's find out what you got going in the future. You have an album coming out, right?
Of course.
The EP was released on December 15, 1992, an appetizer 6 months ahead of the full course meal. It's obvious that 5150 Home for the Sick was crafted from a few of the songs from those Temporary Insanity recording sessions. Sonically, it's typical of much of hip-hop in 1992, particularly before Dr. Dre's The Chronic, coincidentally released on the same day as Eazy's EP, arrived and turned virtually everything in the West Coast and beyond upside down.
The Chronic for the holidays, the gift that keeps on giving.
It must have been musically and psychologically battering for Eazy-E, who seemingly treats 5150 Home for the Sick as his facade.
You thought I couldn't do it without you, right?
Well, the joke was on him. Sure, he could still make records without Cube as his primary ghostwriter and Dre as his chief beatmaker. But that didn't necessarily mean that they would be as good as, if not better than, his solid debut. Thank goodness this is an EP. Or is it a maxi-single because it has those words printed across the lower end of the front cover art. Out of the 4 songs, Only If You Want It, which has the fingerprints of Naughty by Nature all over it, is probably the only one that works. The sparse and gritty piano-driven beat is standard KG, and Eazy-E doesn't rap much of note. But it works, with Tretch chanting the hook and writing the lyrics with a simplified version of his nimble flow for the improved but not elite Eazy-E to deliver. After that, the quality of the record plummets with the speed of a falling comet. Neighborhood Sniper, with a baffling dissonance of funk guitar licks, drowning bass, and sharp layers of percussion, should have compelled Eazy to stare daggers at Cold 187 for this, as the Above the Law member was yet to develop fully from Dre's apprenticeship into one of the most prominent G-Funk producers. It's not like Eazy-E fares any better though, as he fails to captivate with a stale narrative of his role as a sniper. Cocaine delivers a pretty sick raga chorus though. My Height Don't Fight has a bouncy and chaotic synth sound to it, courtesy of Bobcat. But once again, Eazy spits bars of braggadocio that are not even worth quoting, let alone discussing. The worst, however, comes at the end, with Merry Motherfucking Xmas. Appropriate, well, the Xmas part anyway, since the EP dropped during the Christmas season. Yeah, Eazy-E playing the role of Santa right. Get it? Visits the ghetto with his profanity-laced medley of Christmas carols that include Jingle Bells, 12 Days of Christmas, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas, and he isn't thinking of blessing the kids with presents. Why should he, when he only thinks of getting head, Eazy-E's favorite sex act, under the Christmas tree, with the guest rappers on the song wishing for drugs, guns, and porno tapes while consuming chicken, watermelon, chitlins, and cornbread. This is nothing less than buffoonery to the nth degree and is obviously done purely for shock's sake. Even Rudy Ray Moore, yes, Dolomite himself, stops by for a visit, and even his legendary dark humor can't illuminate this abyss called a song. The guest rappers on Merry Motherfucking Xmas were all signed to Ruthless, a microcosm of the record label's roster quality. The only thing remarkable about Buckwheat, who never released anything under Ruthless, was his borrowed name and hairstyle from one of the characters in the Our Gang comedic shorts of the 1920s to 1940s. The sex talk-crazed female duo, Menage a Trois, fared better, albeit with a failed 1994 album entitled Chalicious, and it would take their album being canned and them leaving Ruthless for the At-Band clan to break up and have two of its members join with two other people to form the multiple hit-making, multi-platinum selling, Grammy-winning group, the Black Eyed Peas. 5150 Home for the Sick was gold within 3 months. Granted, it was quickly assembled to keep Eazy-E's name out there, but people had to wonder how effective that was, especially since the colossal success and genre-shaping nature of Dre's triple platinum The Chronic mercilessly rendered it an underachieving and outdated afterthought. In fact, Home for the Sick, with a peak of number 70 on the Billboard 200 chart, was one of the lower chart-performing records out of Ruthless at that point. Worse, when EAZY-DUZ-IT was remastered in 2002 alongside N.W.A.'s albums, Priority Records decided to make the world a better place by appending the debacle to the album. But hey, Priority also did that with Niggas for Life and the 100 Miles and Running EP. What on earth are you complaining about? Well, at least that one has the brilliant title track and Dre's splendid production. What does this one really have going for it? Part of what makes Eazy-E's debut album charming was the innocuous and frivolous manner in which he delivers his twisted brand of humor. On Home for the Sick, that charm is replaced by a forced aura and a high level of earnestness that, coupled with subpar writing and production, robs the music of fun and vitality. And Eazy-E pretending that everything is okay is rather pitiful. To quote main source, he was faking the funk. Even BG Knockout, one of Eazy's most trusted affiliates, who nevertheless had the temerity to write a diss song about him in his presence, was blunt in his assessment of the record.
He had that 5150 shit that he put out.
Yeah.
That's like the wackest material, like, for me. And I hate to say that because a lot of my homeboys, which is Cocaine and Above the Law, will.i.am, them, they had a lot to do with that record, Menage a Trois. Shout out to all of y'all, y'all Ruthless family. But that shit just wasn't him. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
yeah,
Eazy-E wasn't crazy, just hurt by his friend's departure and uninspired by his depleted resources. But if he wasn't willing to correct the myriad mistakes of his Maxi-Single by the time of the release of his second album, well, he might as well have been crazy. Thanks for watching. For those new here, welcome to Rap Perspective. For the Rappleheads, I greatly appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, comment on, and share this video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I encourage everyone to watch, like, comment on, and share other videos on here. See you in the next video.